Okay, so what are you expecting today?
Well, it's been a long process. We're going on almost 30 years, and we're hoping that today is Rick Wershe's day. That ultimately they'll make a decision that he should be released. He's done his time and returned back into society. So,
What's the argument for releasing him?
Well, he served his time past his time, and he could be a productive citizen, and it's the just thing to do. So that's it.
So what are you expecting today?
Well, I expect that the parole board will finally realize that they were lied to back in 2003. And I hope that the members of the new parole board realize that and use today as the first legal proceeding where Rick can get a fair hearing.
YouTube and things.
So what are you expecting today?
I think this is going to go fairly smoothly. I think the parole board wants this case off the books. They want him out of here, but they have to go through the process. And I think Rick is well prepared for that. Nervous, but I think that he will do well.
Have you spoken to Rick lately? Or?
I've communicated with Rick by email, and he's told me that he's had a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of anxiety, anticipation, that sort of thing. What you'd expect, I suppose, if you're a prisoner serving life, and here's an opportunity to end that. So he's concerned, and he's worried about his own performance. Yeah. And I say performance in a good way, that he comes off well, and as someone who's ready to get back out into the real world. So I think that this is going to not going to be a fireworks kind of a hearing at all.
For the crimes that he's committed, especially while incarcerated, and I can tell you, he won't be back. He wants a new start. He wants his family. He wants his kids. I mean, he's missed his children and his grandchildren growing up, let alone my father. We haven't buried my father yet, so when he gets
saying like I'm gonna vote.
What's your impression of the hearing?
Well, there were a lot of people who probably should have testified that didn't, and there were a few small allegations that could have been cleared up if other people would have had the opportunity to get up there.
Are you optimistic? Or
I am
after
optimistic. I think the parole board will ultimately do the right thing.
Okay. What was your impression there of the?
I think overall it was positive.
Yeah. It seemed a little bit rough on the Florida part. Did you sort of?
Yeah, the Florida case, they went into a lot more detail down there than on that case than what I thought they would.
Yeah.
The allegation of conspiracy on a drug charge, I think hurt him. But I think he overcame it.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have been able to testify, but it is what it is.
His role. Can you talk a little bit about how that happens or why that happens?
Well, what you've got was the Assistant State Attorney General was acting like a prosecutor up there as opposed to just an interrogator. And I thought that he was a bit out of line when he put so much emphasis on this allegation of cocaine dealing down in Florida when he knew that that was not charged and when he knew that that was not in the plea agreement. And the reason he knew it is because I sent him the plea agreement, and the article from that agreement that I read into the record stated specifically what Rick was offering his plea to, and there was nothing in there about cocaine. As a matter of fact, cocaine dealing was never charged in the underlying indictment. That's just what the police gave to the judge to get a warrant. And you throw cocaine in there and it jumps off the charts, and of course everybody's going to sign.
Rick got heated at that moment. Do you think it's a problem for him?
Well, I didn't really see him as getting heated. I saw him as getting frustrated because he was answering the same question over and over and over again, coming from a different angle, because the attorney was trying to get an answer that wasn't there.
Are you optimistic after all this?
Cautiously, yeah. I thought that it was interesting that Michael Egan reopened and began to question Rick about the cooperation that he gave to the federal government while he was in federal prison. That's what the two FBI agents would have spoke to, and I think Egan knew that. He didn't want to go outside of the parameters of their normal protocol, and when they didn't check the box yes, he wasn't going to allow them to be caught, but he knew what they were going to testify to.
Some might say, well, what do they have to lose if he's going to be released to Florida and spend more time in prison? They're really not taking a big risk here.
Well, no, except for from Rick's standpoint. Let's say they do take him down to Florida. He's got an end date. He knows when he's going to get out. Here, there was no termination.
How much more time would he have to spend?
About 22 months. And I'm not sure that they even want him. I've been talking with attorneys down there that have ins to the Florida Attorney General, and they're trying to find out whether or not they even want to exercise their detainer. And they should get notification from Michigan here on the decision by the parole board, and then it'll be up to Florida to determine whether or not they want to come up and get him and take him down here. If they say no, then that's the end of it.
What do you think of Egan's final comments about seeing the problem?
I think that's very encouraging. He didn't have to say that.
No, whatever. You know,
so in that case from 2006, what about the cocaine? That was in the factual stipulations, right?
No. What was that? Yeah. Trying to call it probable cause affidavit. You know, what they do, as far as the early stuff, I never, a judge had him make a warrant. Thank you. I have your card.